Hello everybody, out here in the park near my house in the woods, enjoying the lovely view and sitting on this fallen tree. This video will be addressing the stigma around psychedelic substances, and I figured I'd do it out in nature because they're natural substances and I felt like getting out of the house. It's nice and relaxing and nice and cool out here. There's a little teepee over there. Not built too well, but nice enough. Anyway, on to the topic. So, starting out with my first video about my trip report being so far my most viewed video, and it caused quite a stir with a few family members who were very against the idea of me starting with this channel. So, the argument that I play, or it's not really an argument, it's more along the lines of, why do you have a bad opinion of these psychedelic substances? And a few of them, having done them in the past when they were younger, but not with any spiritual intent in mind, can only comment so much. Yes, I was arguing with a PhD in organic chemistry, but regardless of that, it doesn't attribute anything when it comes to the actual spiritual experiences you have on these substances. And my main point was, why is there a stigma? Why are they bad? Or bad? Because they're not. They're natural substances. Yes, there are risks involved if you have diagnosed or not diagnosed mental conditions, and they can bring them out and they can cause harm. That is true. I'm not willing to dispute that fact because it is definitely true. But the issue I have is mainly the stigma surrounding them, even though with weed in general it has dropped an incredible amount the last few years with the legalization of cannabis in the United States and Canada. And now a whole bunch of people are coming out saying they're microdosing. A lot of people are going to the jungles of Peru and doing ayahuasca. And a lot of other people, celebrities included, and comedians, and Silicon Valley mushroom use is rampant, and they're well aware of how well it affects your mind in creative aspects of coding and making software, developing software, coming up with new ideas and new ways to think about things. And in a very broad aspect of the world of coding, there's a lot of different ways to think about it. Having no experience in the subject and having no fucking clue how my phone is actually functioning recording this video, and I'm pretty sure most of the people that would be watching this video as well can say the same. So if the people in Silicon Valley who are developing this kind of software are using them, there's obviously some correlation to the reasoning behind, or a correlation to the actual benefits of taking these substances in extremely small amounts, or up to 1.5 grams. And these are people who are doing it at work, mind you, and functioning above and beyond what they would be if they weren't. And this is a regular thing, and as far as I know, a daily practice for a lot of these people. Granted, the tolerance does increase very quickly, but regardless, that doesn't mean microdosing smaller amounts, like 1.5, 1.3 grams of dried mushrooms, would be at all non-beneficial. Because it definitely is, if you've done it before, you most definitely know what I'm talking about, depending on the experience you had with them and the strength and potency of the mushrooms you had and the variety, because a lot of mushrooms are different and they affect people different ways. all people's brains are different, yet the base functions are, for the most part, the same, with exceptions. So, addressing stigma of psychedelics, where did it come from? Well, as far as LSD goes, you hear about Salem witch trials and burning people. Well, this is back way, way before we even knew chemically what they were and what lysergic acid was growing in the wheat or the rye bread that they were consuming. And yeah, apparently they either burnt witches, and again, there are people who say they didn't. They actually just threw them in the water, and if they sank, they were innocent, or if they floated, they were guilty. But regardless of the ridiculousness of people from thousands and thousands of years ago, or hundreds of years ago in this situation, so many different religions all around the world started using these mushrooms, and I've heard speculation about whether actually sacramental wine originated having mushrooms in it. And I gotta say, if that was true, and I definitely believe it would be, especially in ancient cultures to do with the origins of the Santa Claus story with Amanita muscaria. I don't know enough about that to talk about that, but basic idea is the huts get snowed in and the shaman climbs down the chimney, and the Amanita muscaria mushroom growing underneath these trees, Christmas trees, were the gifts from the earth, and that they'd pick them and hang them on the tree to dry them. And I guess I can relay that the way they'd actually do it is the strongest man or the weakest woman from the tribe would eat all the mushrooms, and then the rest of the tribe would drink their piss after they had their experience, and they would have a more intense experience because of the pre-processed or pre-digested mushroom. All the substances or active ingredients would be present in the urine of the person who ate the mushrooms previously. So the demonization of psychedelics may have come from the Catholic Church after they, or Catholic, Christian, or whatever church that I honestly can't speculate. I haven't really researched that particularly well. Though, just in my personal experiences, family saying or that they're of the devil, or however they want to put that. It's utterly ridiculous. It's from Mother Earth, their gifts, and they're grown naturally, and they, having not experienced that, don't technically have any idea what they're about. So apart from the real reasons that I see there, the answer I got from one of my parents was it's society's demonization of them, and that being the only real argument they came up with in 45 seconds didn't really work at all, because there are a lot of things society doesn't like a lot of people in society are against people who are gay, which I think's, again, fucking ridiculous and shouldn't be tolerated. There are a lot of people who are against Muslims or foreign people coming into the land, escaping situations they couldn't even possibly comprehend because they haven't experienced bombs going outside their house. So again, utterly ridiculous, shouldn't be tolerated. Now, the beauty of these actual substances is the fact that they're an intellectual's substance or sacrament. They are not for dumb people. And when I say that, I've had experiences where I actually had progressive, slowly you come out of a thought and then you realize, okay, this thought, say someone's looking at you because you did something, and the thought is they're gonna kill me. Well, you can escape that thought by no, they're not. That wasn't something worth killing someone over. And boom, trip changes, situation changes, music changes even. It was an amazing experience. And I've had and the same experience. Another example is there was 3 people on the couch, and they looked like, well, I'm going to say drones because they weren't my friends or the people I was tripping with. they just looked like them, but as far as I'm willing to say, they were lifeless bodies. So when I walked my mind back into the reality and stopped just thinking about what I was thinking about and listening to the music and having a good time, I realized this, and boom, blinked, they were back on the couch. So I'm going to say these mushrooms are conscious tests. Not necessarily all the time. They are also tools for spiritual use and deep spiritual healing and changing your perspective, like the scientific aspects of magic mushrooms. They slow down the default mode network in your brain, which is the part of your brain that actually processes your normal everyday to day thoughts. And the lovely thing about this is it opens up different neural pathways in your brain, allowing you to, one, change your perspective, two, remember things from a long time ago or not so long ago in very, very clear detail. And it is honestly impressive what can come up, and like things you couldn't even have remembered before without serious amounts of meditation or like something triggering that response. Like, one thing is about the human body is scent is one of the best things for recalling memories, but on these substances you can actually recall memories unbelievably clearly and incredibly like real as you're almost there. And to an extent, sometimes depending on the people you're with, if you're vibing with them at the right frequency, like you can even like catch a glimpse of some of their experiences. Now, this really doesn't happen often, and it's not something I really recommend. Uh, there is something that yogis or spiritual gurus do where they don't touch hands or like shake people's hands, is because they're maintaining the aura of their own body and their own energy field. Now, this is something that I highly advise people do while on substances and psychedelics, is just of like not to avoid physical contact with just anyone, but in general avoid contact with people who have a lower vibe than you and who don't necessarily share the same view, and just maintain your physical aura. And if you find yourself getting dragged down by people, don't do psychedelics with them. I'll definitely be covering a video on all the reasons you shouldn't do psychedelics with people who are not your best friends, and definitely best friends. And say if you're hanging out with someone and they're just waiting for you to finish a sentence so they can say something, they're not actually listening or processing anything you're saying. Another reason not to do psychedelics with them is because they're not technically in the moment and they don't give a shit about what you're saying. And you can get into very, very deep conversations and very intense conversations with people in these scenarios or simulations, trips. As far as simulation theory is concerned, I guess, think of it as you have your own aura, but everything being made of energy. And also I have a joke about simulation theory. If this is a simulation, in this reality, all this natural world, technically, if this is a computer, whether it be some kind of quantum computer or some other kind of computer, and this isn't a simulation, or it is, if it is, nature is technically artificial, isn't it? I just thought that was hilarious when I thought about it the other day. Anyway, it's pretty much all I wanted to cover in this video. I couldn't really find too much on YouTube about the origins of the psychedelic stigma, but the most things people really know about are the Salem witch trials and like maybe the odd religious sect around the world that did magic mushrooms in their religious ceremonies for whatever reason or purpose. Apparently the shamans in the Amazon jungle who do ayahuasca laugh at mushrooms and say don't bother with them, but in my experiences, and the fact that they're probably the best thing that I can get, because they do say, apparently, not that I've talked to them personally, this is other people saying, if you can't get any other substance, they're the best thing you can probably easily have access to, since they're unbelievably easy to grow. And well, just spectacular. Another thing I'll add on just before I end up is apparently spiritual masters or guides in like deep in Buddhism and other such cultures look at them as cheating. So cheating to get to a higher state of consciousness, or cheating to learn to be calm and collected and relaxed. So if there's anything you want to cheat at, it's probably that. Have a lovely day. Peace out. Stay healthy. And spread the love, my friends. Thank you for your support. Cheerio.